Okay, I will just check some things. Okay. So welcome to our Instagram channel and our first Instagram live ever. My name is Yudo, and I'm happy to be able to do this during these crazy times. I want to keep it short. Our association, Movement for Justice, was founded last year in Freiburg. And we had the specific goal to contribute to the realization of the human rights laid down in the UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We cooperate with organizations, foundations, institutions, and or individuals who work non-violently for their rights enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So if you're interested in our work, if you want to support us or even join us in our work, please feel free to follow us on our social media channels and visit our social media website, movementforjustice.com. So, our first guest in this new format we talk about human rights violations, is Can Atalay. He's a preeminent human rights lawyer, an activist, and a member of Taksim Solidarity, as well as the executive board member of Social Rights Association in Istanbul. The same organization helped the victim families of the 301 miners who died in the Soma mine disaster in 2014. He also represented the families of the victims in Alada, where 11 children died in 2016 when a girls' dormitory burned down, caught fire due to a lack of construction. He's also mostly known for his case when he worked for TMOBB, that's the Turkish Union of the Chamber of Architects, where he argued against the government's plans to build a shopping mall in Gezi Park, one of the last green spaces in the city center of Istanbul. So, as you know, the Gezi protests started in 2013 and evolved into the biggest anti-government protest in Turkey's recent history. So, not least because of the brutal police violence, which led to 9 deaths and thousands of injuries and detentions, the Gezi protests play a really, really important role in the Turkish politics. Speaking of police brutality, we will compare the Black Lives Matter movement with the Gezi protest and talk generally about discrimination in Turkey, and also the current situation of the Gezi trial, where Can Atalay himself is one of the 16 accused people during the Gezi protests. So I don't want to beat around the bush and just add him to our chat. Let's try it. Now, I hoped it worked. Oh yeah. Hi Can, how are you doing?
Fine. Merhaba.
Merhabalar. Nasılsınız?
İyiyim. Siz nasılsınız?
Ben de iyiyim, teşekkürler. I want to start with, we're doing it in English, as you know. So
We'll try our best.
we try our best, yeah. We're both not native, so excuse our Turkish
Please
German
do.
accents.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. We want to start at the beginning with the current Gezi trial, which is still going on in some way. What do you think characterizes Gezi, and why did the prosecution start 6 years after the protests?
A brief history.
Yeah.
First, we can divide Gezi issue into 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 decades. First one was we were criticizing, or we were trying to build up an opposition against, against the city policy of the government, government AKP, and also environmental policy of AKP. First, everything started like that. We did this in all around Turkey. We were struggling against the demolishing of environmental or ecological things. Also, we are trying to hold our right to city in our hands. In Istanbul, I'd like to figure out the struggles in or about Sulukule, Tarlabaşı, or Haydarpaşa, like Stuttgart 21. The German speaker people can find similarities between Stuttgart 21 and Haydarpaşa struggle. And Taksim Gezi Park was also a part of that. Taksim is the square of Turkey, all around Turkey. It's accepted like the square of Turkey. If you want to be critic about anything, you can use Taksim Square. You want to express your ideas, your feelings in that square. If you want to celebrate May Day, the square is Taksim. If you want to protest something, the square is Taksim. If you want to share your sadness about anything, the square is Taksim. Blah blah. And Taksim Gezi Park is one of the most important items of this square. As you know, all around the world, squares are the most important microphones of ordinary people. If you don't have newspapers, you need a microphone. Streets or squares of the cities. If you don't have a broadcasting company, you need a microphone. But Gezi Park is also something more. Was something more. When young people, I was not young at that time, but me and some of my friends also called as young. There was nothing more pure than young people trying to hold a tree. It was that pure. Those people seem like they don't want anything for themselves, but they want to protect something, those trees, for everybody. That created the second step of Gezi. People started to take care about Gezi all around Turkey. And at that time, police brutality came out. When police brutality came out, people started to show more response, show more solidarity with those demonstrations. And when the solidarity goes up, police brutality also goes up. It went like that.
So like a balanced thing.
Yes. And on the day 31st of May, at that night for Istanbul, and 1st of January for the other cities, it became like, if you have any kind of opposition, if you have any kind of demand, Gezi was your broad, was your way. Gezi was the main topic. If you have any kind of opposition or demand, you became a part of Gezi. You took your demand or opposition and come to the Gezi Park all around Turkey. That was like that. After 7 years, I can summarize Gezi resistance. We should call it resistance. It was the hope and the possibility of equality, freedom, and justice for Turkey, for my country also, but for Near East, for all Near East
Okay.
That's like that. Yeah.
Okay. And but why did it like took 6 years to the prosecution? Why did they didn't do it a year after? What do you think?
Okay, long story, but
Yeah.
briefly.
Yeah, please.
First, we had some some indictments before. For example, some of our friends were detained, and then an indictment came out, but the court, the single judge, said that they were not guilty. All over Turkey, we had indictments, and mostly our friends, our companions, let's say, were found not guilty. But I was sure about this, but then we checked this from that case also. Fethullah Gülen gang and the government, they were like a coalition at that time. They were planning to how to say criminalize Gezi in a way. The only way was to describe Gezi like a how to say provocation of foreigners, or something like conspiracy theories, something like that.
Yeah.
Every so-called clues or every so-called items were prepared at the year 2013, but at the autumn of 2013, that coalition, the coalition between Fethullah Gülen gang and AKP, had a very serious problem. So they couldn't, they couldn't manage to do these two things together. So they hold us to another hand, to another place. They decided to take care with us later. That was the main thing, I guess.
Okay. So.
And the sorry.
No.
And Gezi still is so important, not just for me. Much more, not for me, but it is so important for Erdogan himself. When he wants to talk about, bad things, in quotation mark, he's talking about Gezi. When he wants to explain why economics is going that bad, it's Gezi.
So he instrumentalizes the protests.
But I see that he really believes that his downgoing has started with Gezi. He may be right. I'm not sure. He may be right.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
So, as I said, as I had already mentioned, you are one of the 16 accused people during the protests.
Yep.
Why did you get accused of? What are the things you are accused of?
I have no idea.
And you don't have yeah. That's the question, really. Yeah.
Okay.
Just try to. What are the legal the legal things there?
We three people, Mücella Yapıcı, Tayfun Kahraman, and me. We said that we were a part of Gezi. We were there. We have the responsibility, if we have right to. For example, I said I'd love to have the responsibility of Gezi resistance by history, by politically, and if you need, by legally. We knew each other. We worked together about environmental and right to city issues, and we knew each other. But there are also some other friends that we knew, we met, but mostly we didn't know the other people. As I told you before, this coalition, Fethullah Gülen gang and AKP coalition, tried to find a way to criminalize Gezi resistance, and the only thing they figured out was, if we say that it's a foreign conspiracy or foreign provocation, we can explain like that. And this trial was how to say, was decorated on the way of that.
Okay. So how did the legal process take place, and were there any exceptions and conspicuousness? That's the other question.
Okay. Briefly, for criminal procedure law, we had several decades, eras. Do I pronounce correctly? Era.
No, eras. Yeah.
Eras.
Yeah, like episodes.
We have several eras about criminal procedure law. First era, which I'd like to figure out, was torture era. Turkish authorities had clues, had evidences by making torture. That was also before, but especially with the coup at the year 1971 and with the coup at the year 1980. The police had the clues, evidences by torture. The second era, which I would like to figure out, was the, how to say, so-called evidences, prepared evidences, which was the Fethullah gang, Fethullah Gülen gang was the main responsible about that so-called or prepared evidences era. Also with coalition with AKP. And the third era is you don't need an evidence. The Gezi trial is one of this, but before that, Progressive Lawyers Association's trial was also another case which we should call like that. They don't need evidence. They have an hypothesis, and you have to argue with this hypothesis. Who knows what will happen? So this is an total exception. This such kind of no need evidence cases, a total exception. And on the other hand, plus Turkey is not a rule of law state anymore for long years. So exceptions are the rules. We have rule. I don't know how to say exceptional rules which are not written anywhere. So who knows? And as I remember, you asked about conspicuousness.
Conspicuousness.
Many, and I am still an accused on that case. My master and my lawyer, as far as I see, he is also watching, Mr. Ilkis. So I don't want to make a comment on that.
Hi to him. Okay. Hi to him. Yeah. So, what do you think what happens in the future, in your opinion? Like the trial is now on pause, kind of. Like
what?
It is kind of on pause. Like
no. Yep.
Isn't
Okay.
it?
No. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Just tell me. Just tell me.
First degree court, the judges.
Yeah.
There are 3 judges. There, they said that these 8 people, including Osman Kavala, who is in prison for that case without no reason, with no evidences. Those 8 people are not guilty. Those 8 people in front of the court on the saloon, let's say, who are in the country at the moment, they are not guilty. all these three judges said that we have evidences that those people can be accused of being against right to assembly. So we'll see. That was like that. But as you know, we were the prosecutor were demanding lifetime in prison with no parole for all 16 people.
Yeah.
So court said they are not guilty. But the prosecutor brought that decision in front of the upper court. You know, we have first degree courts, upper court, and Supreme Court. The prosecutor brought the decision in front of the upper court, and also our lawyers brought the decision in front of the upper court with the argumentation that your how to say your
what is it in what is gerekçe.
Your explanation, your bases are wrong. You should based on not these things, lack of evidence, let's say, but you should base on that Gezi is not a crime. This is a summary, as I guess. What will happen? What is the prognosis? I'm afraid that upper court can say that the first degree court is not true. It's wrong. Those three judges are wrong. Upper court can do two things in that position. Upper court can declare a decision on behalf of the first degree court and can say that they are guilty. This is the first option. And then the second option is the upper court can say that this decision is wrong. You should, to the first degree court, you should examine it once more. I hope the second thing will come out, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's a short overview about the trial.
I tried my best for a short overview. This is my best.
Thank you. No, that's perfect.
Imagine this is the best.
Let's go to Black Lives Matter and Gezi.
Yes.
We see that riots kind of begin with a reaction. That a certain circumstance which makes the population feel like enough is enough. And I think Gezi and Black Lives Matter are two examples of this kind of situation. Do you think we can change institutional and systematic structures because of riots? And if so, in which extent do you think we can change it?
Okay, as being honest.
Yeah.
If a riot, if a riot or several riots are not aiming the power, we cannot change the system or institutionalized discriminations if they don't aim the power. I mean the central power. I mean the government. This was the problem of Gezi. This was the strength of Gezi, but also it was the problem of Gezi. As far as I see, it is also the problem of Black Lives Matter. There are some columnists who say that Trump gained power with that riot, but on the other hand, we cannot compare Black Lives Matter's riot and Gezi because 400 years, as you told today, 400 years old racism, institutionalized racism, and Gezi it's not comparable for other reasons. But there's one thing more. Police brutality was an important topic for Gezi, and it is a very also for sure. It's a very important topic for Black Lives Matters. But on the other hand, Black Lives Matters also trying to sees an horizon, how to say, above capitalism, if itself realizes it or not. And Gezi also, how to say, so the above of the horizon of capitalism. These are two very important things.
Okay. That's the thing they have in common.
One thing more. The institutional, how to say, policy in US, they are trying to keep distance with Black Lives Matters demonstrations. So this is a very serious problematic.
How do you mean, like?
For example, Cortez. I don't know her first name. You know, yeah.
Alexa Ocasio, you know.
Yeah. She's from New York. But
brilliant politician.
She doesn't share much about, that much about Black Lives Matters things. They are very focused on elections. Most probably they are right.
Of course.
But the problem is, Black Lives Matters demands, or opposition also needs now and will need an institutional representation. That's it.
Okay, I got it. So you already answered the question, what are the similarities and differences? To sum up, like the criticism on capitalism is a kind of a similarity, but difference, of course, the origin of the protest is something different, as you said. Why do you think countries like Turkey limit or even restrict their people into, and I'm quoting this popular phrase, tek din, tek millet ve tek bayrak, into one language, one religion, and one race? What do you think? Why do countries do that? That's a question our followers asked.
I don't agree with the question, because question chooses a framework, and I don't agree with this.
Okay.
Turkish state, Turkish governments, or for now AKP, or any coalitions of AKP during last 18 years, they don't say one religion, one population, and one flag every time. Okay. They can change things sometime. They try to, how to say, they try to, I don't want to have any further legal problems, so I like to
find sorry, I don't want to
words.
Get you
No, that's fine. They they try to find a way to how to say, overrule the Kurdish progressive movement. And when they realized that they couldn't succeed it, they started to use the word one religion, one population, and one flag. AKP is how to say, typical neoliberal authoritarian party, typical, like the guy in Hungary or like the guy in Palestine. They are typical. They are more religious, Erdogan, but on the other hand, if you talk about, say, rapists, of rapes in dooms, if you talk about, corruption things, issues, you cannot find anything that he or they are religious. He is or they are religious. So they are typical capitalist or neoliberal, how do you call it, authoritarian. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I have a question, by the way. You can ask, you can use the tool next to the three dots with the question mark with the little one to ask questions, by the way. I just forgot to mention it, so we can integrate them to our talk. So we already talked about a little bit about discrimination in Turkey. You already started the talk. How would you define discrimination in Turkey? Which would you say are the marginalized groups who suffer from discrimination?
Okay. What was the last question? Sorry. I beg your pardon.
Which would you say are the marginalized groups who suffer from discrimination?
Okay. I don't agree with the word marginalized.
Okay.
I'd love to call them like Nihat Sargın, oppositionalized. They are not marginalizing it; they are oppositionalizing.
Yeah.
The first thing, if we want to talk about discrimination, we have to talk about being Sunni or Alevi for hundreds of years in that geography. This is the first thing. Secularism is an important issue, but if we want to talk about ending discriminations, first we have to talk about we have to spot discrimination items. The first, as far as I see, the first item is discrimination against non-Sunni people. I used the word Alevi because there are millions and millions of Alevis in Turkey right now, and also Christian minorities are a part of one of the main parts of that discrimination issue, especially in Istanbul. I don't talk about the Ottoman Empire time, but during the Republic. Yeah, if we talk about it, long story, long
our conversation,
and shameful story. In Istanbul, for the Christian people, our Christian citizens, let's say. And the third item is non-Turkish people, non-Turkish people, especially Kurdish people. If we talk about discrimination, there is a very tough discrimination about Kurdish language. It's not like that. You can talk, you can sing, but you cannot have the chance to be taught in Kurdish in schools. But and the fourth item is, I don't know how to summarize it, but if you are not a part of the elite of AKP or MHP, you are an objective of very tough discrimination. For the last 18 years, that's for sure. But if you ask me, for the last 50 years, I am very doubt to use racism in Turkey, especially nowadays, because racism as a vocabulary comes from race. And if you talk about AKP, MHP coalition right now, they don't want to talk about races. They want to talk about religions. They want to talk about the way you choose to talk or something like that. So, but I don't mean that racism has never been a problem in our country. No, it was not like that. But we cannot call it like racism right now. That's it.
Okay, let's talk about discrimination then. So it's a very philosophical and very off-topic question. What is, in your opinion, the connection between fascism, racism, and capitalism? It's a tough one.
Okay, racism, between the connection between capitalism and fascism was written at the early times of 20th century. So yeah, this connection is clear, but racism is much more older thing. I mean, if it was before capitalism, it's coming from colonization periods, but capitalism used it, especially in the New World, also all over the world, but in the New World. But as far as we all see, capitalism is being using racism for the needs of capitalism even today. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I want to open the talk to our followers, or like the people who are in this live chat. Do you have any questions to Mr. Can Atalay? Do you have any? Just use the questions tool on the right side. Yeah, I had a question which came in a week ago. It was, could you tell more about police brutality in Turkey? Like, is
okay,
not in the context of Gezi protests, but like still.
How to say? I remember, for example, İrfan Adaş. At the year 1996, he was shot from his belly by the police nearby his grandmother's house when he was 16. Nobody went into jail, not for a day. I remember about Taylan Özgür, who was shot from the back at the year 1969. Then we've learned that he was shot by an officer. Nobody went into jail for that. I don't know how to say. I remember Çağdaş Gemik. He was 17. He was shot when he was driving his motorcycle, just going to a parent's house. He was not even political, and he was dead there. Nothing has happened there. This is the general thing going on. If about the police brutality, even they kill an individual, nearly nothing happens. I cannot remember the English version for that. We call it cezasızlık in Turkish. Non-punish treatment.
Yeah,
something like that. Being not punished for officers or policemen is the main how to say, main thing in our country. Yeah.
Would you say something changed with the Erdogan administration, or did it get worse, or
like what?
Police brutality in
most of the ways it gets worse. But if we are talking about the torture, I mean, there are several ways of torturing for the police or for any authorities. But if you call torture for electricity using, or the physical torturing, it is nearly finished at the late 90s in Turkey, because they started to not to need to make a torture. This was before Erdogan, but the problem is they stopped torturing in a way, but
Mm-hmm.
then they started to how to say, you know, they started to prepare. What was it? Prepared clues or verdicts without any clues. So that's it.
Okay, got it. We have some questions. For example, is there a systematic violence by the police against certain groups? Do they mistreat a specific group more than other members of the society?
The question is coming from Ebru Soytemel,
Yeah.
which is a very old friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if she lives in the country right now or doing some academic things abroad. Sure. For example, it's not my right to say this, but gender is a topic in police brutality, police violence, especially LGBTI people and also women. LGBTI people much more, but also on the other hand, also women are not that safe for a long time. Also, if you look like Kurdish, I don't know what that means, but this is a Turkish expression. If you look like Kurdish or young Kurdish, let's say, you may have much more problems than the others.
Like,
and if you are a part of opposition, especially leftist opposition, or let's say progressive opposition, you are in a very serious danger group. That's it. Okay. But Ebru Soytemel should answer for us.
Answer herself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a sociologist. She studied.
Nice.
Yeah, she's lecturing sociology. So she
nice.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Thank you, Ebru. So there's another one. Are the police officers who used violence during Gezi prosecuted?
Thanks God, some of them yes, but except one, none of them went. No, except two, none of them went into the jail.
None of them.
Except two.
Okay, except two. Okay.
One of them is the murderer of Ali İsmail Korkmaz.
Yeah.
He was killed when he was 19 years old in Eskişehir when he went to go to university, and he was beaten in a narrow street. You know, that guy, that policeman, spent some years in prison. As far as I remember, 2 years.
2 years.
As I remember, 2.5 maybe. As I remember. But for example, he wanted to be a part of our case. He wanted to sit on the chair nearby the prosecutor, and the court said yes. He said that my leg was injured during Gezi, which means the leg which he was using to kick Ali İsmail. That was one example. The other example was the murder of Abdullah Cömert, who was murdered in Antakya, nearby Syrian border. Abdullah's murderer went into prison after 7 years.
Wow.
He spent less than a month there.
No way.
The other friends' murders, for example, we don't have any case about Ahmet Atakan's murder still after 7 years. And the others' friends' murders didn't step inside of the jail. On the other hand, in addition to this, for example, for Istanbul the center courtyard, there are more than 5,000 cases about police brutality, police violence, 5,000 injured people cases. Nothing has happened. Nothing. They are still going on investigations, so-called still going on investigations, but nothing has happened. That's it.
That is unbelievable. So that's another question. It is, do you think Kurdish people in Turkey face institutional discrimination? Do you think it's harder for them to be a part of the Turkish society?
For the first part of the question, I think that I'm sure that Kurdish people are facing institutional discrimination. But for the second part, if they don't stress on that they are Kurdish, if they don't, if they accept not to live with their Kurdish identity
and culture,
yeah, they can be fine.
So,
but this is not our question, as far as I guess.
Yeah, I think that answered the question, I would say. The next one is in German, but I can translate it. Wie unterscheidet sich Deutsche dazu? What is the difference between German nationalism and wait, I think she said, what's the difference between German nationalism and Turkish, I think, Turkish nationalism. What do you think?
Okay. Very hard. As far as I know, traditionally, German nationalism is much more racist, much more racist. And, at least a part of that nationalism is based on that vocabulary, völkisch. But for Turkish nationalism, in some eras, Turkish nationalism becomes racist, but especially for the last 50 years, it's not racist. It is called itself nationalist and Islamist at the same time. So with that Islamist thing, they don't want to be called, or they don't want to be stressed on racist issues. In some eras they did. So this is the main difference. And on the other hand, as a result of that counter-guerrilla policy, which NATO, how to say, which NATO followed the way. Sorry?
Yeah. What is it in Turkish? Say it in Turkish.
Not okay. This counter-guerrilla policies which NATO imposed those countries, like my country, nationalism, and any kind of nationalism is a much more tough issue than countries like Germany, I guess.
I see. So there's a Turkish question again. Pandemi süreci Türkiye ve dünyadaki otoriter sistemlerin olası düşüşünü ve yükselişini nasıl etkiliyor sizce?
Okay, let's us try to translate into English. Yeah. This pandemic thing, this pandemic era, how this pandemic era will affect this authoritarianism thing in a good way or in a bad way. Both is possible, because pandemic or such crisis can make call the idea we need a chief, we need a strong government, we need a strong state. This is one hand. But on the other hand, this kind of crisis must show us and all the humanity that we need a real solidarity. If everybody is good, we are good. If one of them or any group of us is not good, none of us is good. Or if we still don't figure out that ecological crisis, we're in a huge problem. So both is possible. The answer is, how are we going to respond on that? We have to figure out this ecological crisis, and we have to demand real policies about ecological crisis, real policies. We have to ask about real public health care. We have to demand real public services again. Such things. Both are possible, but the problem is, how are we going to affect on social life, social struggles, and in addition to this, for sure, for political life and political struggle.
Yeah, I think we are going to finish the talk with the last question. It is a general one. What can be done by the population to pressure the government to become more of a constitutional state?
We are on a constitutional state. We cannot think another thing.
Yeah.
We insist on our constitutional rights. This is the problem which we are having all over the world, in US or in Turkey. we are insisting on our constitutional rights. We have to focus on, we have to be more creative on social struggles, but we have to figure out that if we don't have influence on institutional politics, we are in a big trouble. This authoritarianism thing, you watch Trump every day. It's a very we cannot describe this because of him. I mean, he's not the reason, he's a result. So if we Trump or Trump, I don't know, we need to influence on our own principles. We have to increase our influence on social mobilization, social struggles, but I insist we have to bring that influence in the so-called institutional politics all over the world.
Very well said. I think it's a perfect ending to our conversation. Thank you, Don. Is there any question left? I don't know. I hope I didn't forget any question which was asked. Thank you so much for joining our conversation.
My pleasure.
I wish you the best. I wish you. Danke auch. İyi akşamlar.
İyi akşamlar. Görüşürüz.
Thank you. Bye bye.
İyi akşamlar.
So, thank you for joining our talk. If you have any feedback, if you have any questions left, just slide into our DMs. And if you want to see another topic to be discussed, just let us know. I think it was not the last time we did a conversation like this on Instagram Live. Thank you for joining and have a nice evening. Bye-bye.